No one baked this bread, no flour, no oven, no hands. It was simply there, on the ground at first light, 6 mornings out of 7, thin, white, laid over the desert floor like frost. An entire nation lived on it, every morning. For 40 years, they gathered it, they ground it, they baked it, and they raised a whole generation on it, and they never found out what it was. The first morning it appeared, they turned to one another and asked, in Hebrew, Manhu? What is it? And that question became its name. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. Manna, the only food in Scripture whose name is a question that was never answered, and it came with rules no other food has ever had. You could not keep it. Whatever was left till morning bred worms, except one night a week, when it kept perfectly. You could not wait. When the sun grew hot, it melted off the face of the wilderness. You could not take more than your measure, and you could not take less. Bread with a law inside it. Tonight you'll see everything Scripture actually records about this bread. What it looked like, what it tasted like, how they cooked it. The morning it began. The jar of it God commanded them to keep forever, and the exact day, written down to the day, that it stopped. Because before the first flake ever touched the ground, God told Moses what this bread was really for. Not only to feed them, to test them. To understand the test, you have to stand where they stood, 1 month. That is how long they had been free. 30 days earlier they had walked out of Egypt, out of slavery through a parted sea, an entire nation on foot. Now they stood in the wilderness of sin, no fields, no wells, no markets, and the bread they had carried out was gone. Hunger does something to memory. Within days, the same people who had wept under the whip began to miss the country that held them. We sat by the flesh pots, they said. We ate bread to the full. Better to have died in Egypt with a full stomach than to die free, out here, with nothing. They said it out loud, to Moses, against God. And God's answer was not thunder. Listen to it. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. Bread from heaven, a certain rate, every day, and there it is in plain words, that I may prove them. Before a single flake had fallen, God said what this bread would be, food, and a test, taken fresh every morning for 40 years. The promise was given by evening. The answer came at dawn. That first evening, quails drifted in on the wind and covered the camp, meat exactly as God had said. But the morning was stranger. They woke to dew, ordinary dew lying all around the camp. Then the sun rose and the dew lifted, and underneath it, this. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness, there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost on the ground. A small round thing, as small as frost. That is the first thing Scripture ever tells us about it. Not what it was, but how small it was. Fine as frost, covering the ground in every direction. You already know what they said. They asked the question that became its name. Manhu, what is it? And Moses gave them the only answer they would ever get. This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. Not what it is for. They would live on that answer for 40 years, and the bread came with rules, 3 of them, simple to say, and every one of them harder to obey than it sounds. Rule 1, take what you need and no more. The measure was called an omer, roughly 2 quarts. 1 omer for every person in your tent, the old, the young, the strong, the sick, the same. And here is where something quiet and strange happens. Some gathered more, some gathered less. Of course they did. They were people. But when they poured it out and measured it, and when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. However much you brought home, the measure came out the same. Enough. Exactly enough. Nobody woke up rich in this bread, and nobody went hungry beside a neighbor who did. The strongest gatherer in Israel and the slowest widow ended every morning with the same breakfast. Rule 2. Keep none of it for tomorrow. So of course some of them tried, tucked a little away quietly in case morning did not come. Morning came. They lifted the cloth, and the bread of heaven had turned. Bread worms, Scripture says, and stank. 1 night old, and it was rot. Even the day itself kept the rule. Whatever was left lying on the ground, when the sun waxed hot, it melted. Gone by mid-morning like the frost it resembled. You could not store it, could not hoard it, could not get a single day ahead. Tomorrow's bread did not exist yet. And then there was the third rule, the strangest one of all. On the 6th day, something changed without anyone asking. Every family came home with double, 2 omers each, and the elders hurried to Moses, worried. Everyone knew what a 2nd day's bread turned into overnight. Not this time, Moses told them. Bake what you will bake, boil what you will boil. Set the rest aside. Tomorrow is the Sabbath, and tomorrow the ground will be bare. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And that night, 1 night out of 7, the bread kept, no worms, no smell, sweet at sunrise as the moment it was gathered. Of course, some went out on the 7th morning anyway, baskets in hand, just to check. They found sand. Think what that means. The bread itself kept the Sabbath. The rot obeyed a calendar. For 40 years, the ground of the wilderness ran on a 7-day week, and 1 day in 7, heaven rested. So that was the rhythm of their lives. But what was this bread actually like? To hold, to cook, to taste? Scripture answers that question twice, and the 2 answers do not quite match. Here is the first answer, given the very day Israel named it. And the house of Israel called the name thereof Manna, and it was like coriander seed white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Like coriander seed, small and round, you could roll it between your fingers. White, pale as pearl, another verse says. And raw, straight off the ground at dawn, it tasted like wafers made with honey. Thin, crisp, sweet. The children must have eaten it on the walk back to the tents, the way children eat berries off a bush. But nobody lives on wafers, and they did not have to, because manna, whatever it was, behaved like grain. Watch what they did with it. And the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. Ground it in mills, beat it in a mortar, baked it in pans. That is a full kitchen at work, hand mills turning at dawn, batter on hot clay, a nation of cooking fires under one sunrise. And cooked, the taste changed, not honey now, but fresh oil, rich and warm, like bread made with the first pressing of olives, sweet raw, rich baked. 2 verses, 2 tastes. No contradiction at all. 1 food, 2 preparations. The psalmist reached for the only comparison big enough. Man did eat angels' food, free bread, delivered daily, sweet as honey, rich as oil, 30 steps from your tent. Who on earth could get tired of that? They did, and it nearly destroyed them. Give the miracle a year, give it 5, 10. The same white ground every morning, the same cakes every evening. A generation of children grew up never once tasting anything else. And somewhere in the second year, the camp began to weep, not from hunger this time, from wanting. We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. You can hear it, can't you? That is not a complaint. That is a menu recited from memory, standing in the one place on earth where none of it grows. Fish from the river, melon, onions and garlic in the pan. Slaves' food remembered as a feast, while the bread of heaven lay at their feet. There is nothing at all, they said, beside this manna before our eyes. Nothing at all, beside the miracle. God answered that craving, a wind of quail, a whole month of meat driven into the camp. And with the meat came a plague and graves. They named that campsite the Graves of Craving, and they walked on. But notice what the manna did the morning after the weeping and the morning after the graves. It fell again. Loved or loathed, it kept coming. And through all those years, the gratitude and the grumbling alike, one omer of manna sat apart from all the rest. One day's portion for one person set aside by command. And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a pot, and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. A pot of it, kept, the one portion in all Israel that the worms never touched and the sun never melted, laid up before the Lord in the holiest place the nation had. And God says, why? So the generations to come could see the bread, so that one day a child who had never gone hungry could stand before that pot and be told, this is what we lived on when we had nothing. This and the one who sent it. They would need that reminder, because the manna was not going to fall forever. 40 years. Scripture gives the number plainly. The children of Israel did eat manna 40 years, 14,000 mornings, give or take, of small white bread on the ground. Then they crossed the Jordan into Canaan, the land they had walked all those years to reach. They camped at Gilgal. They kept the Passover. And the next day, for the first time in a generation, they ate from the land itself, flat bread and roasted grain, the old corn of Canaan. And Scripture marks what happened next, to the day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. The morning after their first harvest meal, the ground was just ground, no frost of bread, no gathering. It did not fade out over weeks. It stopped overnight, the moment the land could feed them. Provision did not end that morning. It only changed its clothes. So, what was it? That is the whole record. How it looked, how it tasted, how it behaved, how long it lasted. And never once what it was. Maybe because that was never the point. Moses himself said what the point had been at the end of his life. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Bread that could not be stored, enough that could not be hoarded, a test taken again every morning. Will you trust me for tomorrow, before tomorrow exists? People still pray for bread exactly that way, one day at a time. Tell me in the comments, was there ever a season when you were given just enough for the day, and it was enough? I read every answer. Next time, the most expensive meal in Scripture, A hunter staggers home starving, smells a pot of red stew, and trades away everything he was born to for one bowl. Genesis 25. Esau, if this table fed you tonight, you know what to do. Until then, gather what you need. It will be there in the morning.